Thank you so much for interviewing with us. You have both a BA and a PhD in math and applied math,
Right.
respectively. Could you talk a little bit about your educational history and how you decided to pursue math?
Okay. So as a kid, I've always loved math, like solving math problems, like the challenging problems. It's really like a pure joy for me. I would sit in front of a desk like for usually it's like an Olympic period a math problem. I was participating in that. And I remember I would sit in front of a desk like maybe for 30 minutes and find a solution, but then find out the book has an even simpler solution, like that kind of feeling is, yeah, it's really beautiful, I feel. And also I'm originally from China, and the school and society put a lot of focus on math and science. So kind of like my interest and my talent in math was definitely promoted even more, right, by my parents, by my teachers. Um, so it's very natural for me to just push through math and kind of further. So I attended, my high school was a special class like designed for people, for students attend international Olympiad competition in terms of math and physics. So that's how, I mean, I didn't get the medal, the international Olympiad medal, but because of this, I was able to go to Peking University without kind of SAT, right? Just because of my math was good. So then just goes along, I applied for mathematics major in UCLA. So it's just everything was kind of natural for me, and I enjoyed it along the way.
Yeah, awesome. You clearly have an excellent background in math. And how do you think that background in math has shaped your approach to data science, algorithms, machine learning, et cetera, throughout your career?
Mhm. So yes, it's a definitely good question. For me, data science, machine learning, and math, they all share something in common, which is like strong analytical skills, and then like the logic reasoning part of it. Um, and another part I would say is I obtained it from like say my 5 years in grad school, that um, you do research, like you are given a new problem and it's uncertain, and you have to find out your way, right, in terms of different people, different publications, and you also have to sit down, kind of dig into the problem, and like more like peeling off an onion, like layers and layers, right? So all that kind of the research methodology and the patience you need to go into a problem, that helps me solving the my daily work problem in data science and machine learning.
Yeah. So speaking of your daily work, you've worked as an engineer at a lot of different companies, including Luminescent Technologies, Teradata Aster, Uber, and now
Right.
Brex. All of these companies have really different missions and applications for their
Yeah.
technology. So how do you approach familiarizing yourself with a new domain when you switch fields?
Um, yeah, I definitely moved around a lot. So luminescent is my first industry job that's in semiconductor. And then I switched career, transitioned to data science. But even within the data science was different applications. Say at Uber, I was at a maps team, and then move on to financial engineering, and then move on to marketplace. Now I'm at the fraud science in Brex. I would say yes. Usually the first half a year is the like I usually need that much of time actually to pick up all the background story, the jargons like my coworkers are speaking, right? Like when I was at a marketplace, I would having trouble to understand like demand, the supply, do they really, how they really affect the markets. So yes, it does take me say like 3 months to half a year to pick up all the terms and background stories. Um, but they all have something in common, right? Like which is like machine learning and data science. Like say currently, I have, I don't know, say for fraud, I don't know much, and I don't know what kind of data should I use, what kind of signals give me more boost than others. So for those things, right, I would refer to documents, to my coworkers and managers for help. But the things in common is the machine learning algorithm. I'm very familiar, with, say, with the kind of state of the art in industry is XGBoost tree, like how to do hyperparameter search, and how to solve, say, in class, like unbalanced problems, like all those things I can pick, I already know. So there's something familiar, there's something unfamiliar. And that's how it makes also interesting, right?
Yeah, the 3 to 6 month benchmark certainly makes me feel better about starting up new projects as a grad student and
Yeah.
taking a while to get familiar with it. Yeah, definitely hard to switch domains, but it's easier if there's things in
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So you've also moved between academia and industry during your career. What do you think are some of the main differences between your day-to-day activities in academia versus industry?
So yeah, I did a year and a half postdoc in Austria. Um, I would say the day-to-day difference is when you're as a postdoc, like a researcher, you spend more time thinking about the like most advanced ideas, and try to collaborate with the other professors and researchers in the world. um, and 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 I was an applied mathematician. I need to prove theorem, even though I also need to do program, but I need to prove certain like theorem, and then use certain application to say, hey, this actually is applicable. So I also write, like, there's a lot of math and involved. Um, right now, though, as an engineer and data scientist, the problem are more well defined. Your product manager, your manager already has something piled up there, and they want to you solve. And a lot of times probably it's about like a scale, like when you build a engineering solution, it has to be sustainable, scalable. And so that is very different. It's not a complex problem in terms of like research, right? I don't read like pioneer works anymore. And I do a lot of more collaboration with in the industry job, because you have your upstream, like if you're getting your data from somewhere, you have to talk to them and ask them how to use it, and make sure they keep the bar and have the good standard. But you also need to talk to your customers and ask them how they want their, say, model prediction, how they receive. So there's a lot more collaboration that way. Yeah, and I think the timeline is it's more pressing in the industry than academia. In academia, if you miss one paper deadline, it's no big deal. You probably can submit it to another conference. So yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. And I know one of the differences you mentioned in industry, you often get handed a project from a manager. And I know that you, in your work at Uber and other companies, have worked with a lot of junior scientists. So
Yeah.
could you discuss your approach to mentoring younger scientists and engineers, and what your mentoring philosophy is?
Yeah, so I've had a few mentees at Uber. Um, Usually I would just have one-on-one biweekly or monthly meeting with them. And the format is for them to ask me any advice and any questions. And then mostly you can imagine about like a career advice and promotion. How do I talk to my managers? And whether I take this job or not. And sometimes it's about like their conflict with coworkers. They don't know how to communicate. Yeah, so it's kind of a range of, usual work problems. I sometimes give advice, sometimes I would just ask questions, have them to reach their answers. Another thing is, if they are from my team, like some of them, they're not necessarily from my team. So, but if they're from my team and I have some observation of their interactions and behavior, I would also give feedback. And I was pretty active in the kind of women of Uber, and so I have quite a few like mentees. They're female junior engineers. And
Yeah, as a follow-up to any of our listeners, do you have any advice that you would give to younger students, particularly women, who might be interested in learning more about data science or machine learning and don't know where to start?
Yeah, definitely. First is like what my own experience shows. First, like machine learning, it is a very exciting field, and lots of different industry application won't get into that. So really, you have to have a growth mindset. Just don't hesitate and jump into different applications. Kind of have faith in yourself. You will pick it up, the domain knowledge, but with your machine learning, you can be really useful in a lot of other areas, not only say ads ranking, right? Like what Google, Facebook does. And I think, yes, and another experience I had, like as I've also done a lot of engineering jobs. So compare with engineering, like the machine learning, AI is much more uncertain, the projects, and you have to be okay with failures, as well as you have to constantly talk to your managers about the status of the project and let them know, right, the uncertainty. So in my past project last year, I was working with this junior and machine learning engineer, and she was giving a project basically to improve a model. And there's so many ways to do it. You could do it from the data, right? Getting a better data quality, getting better data, getting different features of data. And you could do it from, say, hyperparameter search and like different algorithms, right? Improve the algorithms. But I think she was shy and she didn't ask many clarifying questions. And so I can see that she's always stressed every time before the weekly group meeting. Suppose everybody should update their status, and she's always stressed. So I think I used to give her the tips is you really need to constantly communicate with your boss. Like, as I said, like, don't be shy, always communicate with the lead of the project, your manager, and tell them, explain to them why this project is hard. Why can't I give you like clear status, clear deadline? And I think, yeah, definitely have a mental and group support, but it's better that they understand AI. That's also good. I think another thing I want to mention is it's not particular to AI machine learning, but in terms of like engineering project, but it's good for say graduate, like a fresh graduate, to know in industries. You really have to understand the big picture as to your project. I mentioned, like, say you understand what's your upstream, like what data you can get, what ecosystem your model will live, and who are your customers. So it's like all like stakeholders, because sometimes, say you want to have a super good performing models, but it's too complex that your engineer don't support it, right? And or even your model is so much better than before, but it's like a black hole, like deep learning, and your customer don't appreciate it because they want something you can explain, like interpretable. So really, like, you have to like talk to them, collaborating, understand all the requirements. Okay, maybe I should stop here.
No, thank you for your answer. It's really insightful. I think it underscores just the importance of communication in every aspect of every
Yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I love your virtual background. So I figured now is a good time to talk about your current work at Brex. So what are some of the biggest challenges you face in your work at Brex?
I would say, yeah, one thing is I'm actually still new in Brex. This is my the fourth month. So I'm still picking up like the thought, uh, the concept, and what kind of data I could get, and what would be useful, and there's just so much underneath it, like like maybe different vendors could give you better data that you don't know, like those things. I currently I don't have much idea yet. But I would say another thing I struggle, it's a contrast, right? Coming from Uber to a big company to Brex, there aren't much of machine learning infrastructure support. It is so much harder to, say, train a model and then move it to online. That process is kind of painful. And then you don't have a tool to monitor how is your model perform. It's just that the whole infrastructure, it's not there yet. So I feel like my productivity, it's reduced. Yeah.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that challenge. I personally work in a lab
Mm-hmm.
where I'm one of the only people doing machine learning. So
Mm-hmm.
similar like infrastructure challenges and getting the infrastructure down is the key to being more productive for both me and anyone I'm training.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely relate.
Um, Yes, I think I heard, I have not worked at Google, but I heard like, um, in Google, like the infrastructure for people, for data scientists and machine learning to do their job well, it's like, it's really nice.
Yeah. Wow. One day maybe I will get there and experience something like that. But I also am excited by the ability to like create that infrastructure. So relatedly,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What
Same
what
here, same
yeah,
here.
yeah. What excites you most about your work at Brex?
Yeah, so we just talked about it, right? That there was the challenge. So then, because I also right, like my experience at Uber, and I know kind of like what would be a better tool. And I've also really like I worked with the Michelangelo platform in Uber a lot. So I actually also want to take on this challenge and help the machine learning platform of Brex to build a tool. So that's one. Like I feel I can actually make impact right here. And then the second thing about Brex uh, excites me is it's just really the growth, because it's a small company. It's still at early stage. We are I think less than 4 years old or young. Um, so and if we look at how our, say, monthly active users or like the GMV, it always kind of surpass the projection. So it's really exciting that we grow, and we grow a lot. And third thing, I feel like there is a huge difference between like a big company and like a startup. And I'm really glad that I actually made this jump. It's just because I feel like people here in like in Brex, they care more about the company, like the product, and they really wanted the company's success, instead of like in big companies. I would say, and it's not uh, overstatement, is like there are fairly a lot of like politics going on. So you're kind of being discouraged by those things. Yeah, so I really like my Brex experience so far, and I I feel like I am really like motivated to make my project better, make the tool better.
Yeah, I feel like your experience is really insightful because you've worked at companies covering like a wide range of sizes and missions. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
I have a little bit of a pivot for our last question. So you also have a master's degree in counseling psychology. So could you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about how you've used the lessons from that degree in either your tech career or your personal life or both?
Um, yeah, that's a long story. It's kind of like, there was some time at my life, I I had so I had a difficult breakup, and so I was really depressed. So then I become very interested in psychology. At that time, it actually took me 5 years to finish the counseling psychology degree. At that time, I thought this could be my career, like second career. Um, eh, but then at after I have second child, I actually started missing like a programming and it having a become a therapist and having your own kind of clinic, and it actually didn't seem satisfying to me. So that's why I made actually my second career transition to data science. So that's kind of the story of it. But I don't regret though that I pursued the degree. Maybe in terms of IC, so I've been always been a individual contributor. It it probably does not help in my career so much. Except that I often get, like comments say I'm like really like excellent collaborator. Maybe there's something to do with it. But I my I want to become a tech lead manager in the near term. So that will definitely help me, right? Like as a manager, and in term and but it also helps me a great deal in my personal life, though. Say my marriage and raising child, disciplining child, that I feel like it really great benefits me a lot. So I think my personal philosophy is just like you can see from my career, it's like I I don't particularly ask for, hey, what would I get out of this? I think I just have kind of growth mind. If I'm interested in this, and I would just pursue it and kind of let go of the long term, I don't know, achieve like consequences or achievement later. I think that I just like this having different experiences. It's good enough for me.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal advice. And thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. This has been
You're
great.
welcome.
So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for your time as well.